Let's talk technology, but don't hang up and don't leave yet. But technology, I'm going to do a brief overview on why those of us that were born before Atari came out need to pay attention to technology. My name is Aaron Shaw. I am your host, your science translator, and partner in Healthspan, partner in our Healthspan journey. Healthspan being the time during our lifespan that we are healthy and vibrant. And my focus is to take my 30-year career in the health and fitness industry and help digest and simplify all the information that's out there into actionable items. Success with each podcast is really about giving you one thing you can do today that will have a positive impact on your health span. For you and for me, our goal is to be as engaged with life up until the last nanosecond of our lifespan. So we're going to make decisions that will make sure that the last years, or God forbid, the last decade of our life isn't in some sort of incapacitated state of weakness or preventable illness. But let's talk technology. I'm going to start with a question. The question is, if you fell down and heard a snap in your wrist and it hurt like crazy, what would you do? You would go to the doctor or go to the emergency room. And what would they do? And what would you want them to do? Would you want them to take an x-ray? Of course. And the technology in x-ray machines, massive, huge technology. If you have weird pains, weird symptoms in your body, and the doctor said, oh man, we really need to take an MRI of your back or your shoulder. Of course. Yeah, definitely. It's technology. We need it. We need it. It provides us information to make decisions. And now let's talk about wearables. Let's talk about your smartwatch, and I'll name some brands here, but I have no affiliation with any brand, but an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or a Whoop or a Oura Ring or whatever other dozens of wearable technological devices that are out there is the same concept. Same concept as an MRI, same concept as an x-ray machine that has massive technological know-how in it, and it provides information to make decisions about our health from that data that's collected. So as I said, as somebody that grew up in an era that was long before internet and computers and all that stuff, I get why there is a resistance to strapping something onto your body and having it collect information about you and having it probably attached or connected to your smartphone or the internet. And so it's a little bit creepy. It's a little bit weird that maybe your sleep data that's being collected by a device and is connected to the internet. I can see how there's a reason that, and not to be too conspiracy theorist, but I don't know, my personal information is going out there. I don't know this for sure, but I don't think anybody cares about how well I sleep, or I don't really think anybody cares how many steps I did or how long I've stood today or how many calories I've burned or whatever. But this information is incredibly important to me, and it's incredibly important for my health and my well-being and my health span and the quality of my sleep and my energy level and my cognitive attention. I know so much more about my my functional body in the past just year even. I'm wearing one device consistently over a year now, and I've got this great track record in the sense that I can look back. I know how my body responds to certain foods, certain sleep. Not all sleep is equal, as an example. My activity, I know how to prepare for certain activities. I know how to recover better from activities. I know how I change my nutrition. I change what I consume on a Sunday night before I go to, do a certain work on a Monday, which is different than a Saturday if I'm going to exercise on a Sunday versus if I'm traveling, all because I collect data. And in this podcast, as all of my podcasts, I want to provide you with one thing you can do today that will help improve your health span. And it is going to be around technology. It is around wearables. Specifically, the activity is this. If you don't have a smartwatch or a device that tracks your steps and your exercise and your heart rate and your sleep, please consider getting one. And a lot of these will give you even like a 1 month free trial kind of thing. So even if you're not so keen on committing for the long-term relationship with technology, it's totally fine. But please, my ask is that you assign yourself, give yourself the assignment of tracking your function, tracking your activity for at least 7 days. And when I was first drafting of the podcast, I was like, it has to be a month. A month is far better than 7 days. But if you can at least for 7 days commit to tracking your activity through some established smart wearable device. In full transparency, as I'm sitting here talking, as I'm talking to you guys, I have two wearable devices because I'm total nerdville. One of them is the Apple Watch. Another one is the Whoop, WHOOP. Again, I have no relationship with any of these, no sponsorship or whatever. But I can tell you that specifically, the Whoop is one that I wear 24/7, short of taking a shower. And what this Whoop has enabled me to do, what this device has enabled me to do in part, is fine tune my sleeping. I'm sure that you can all relate to going to bed at a reasonable time, waking up at a reasonable time on many, many days. And some of those days you wake up feeling pretty good. Other days you wake up not so good, still tired, still dragging. It's like, what the heck? I went to bed at a reasonable time, woke up at a reasonable time. Nothing's that different. Well, through wearing a device overnight, I found that not all 7 or 8 hours are equal. And the amount of time that I'm awake, the amount of time that I'm in light sleep or deep sleep or REM sleep varies. And now I know enough because this has been tracked for an extended period of time. I know it's really predictive. It's kind of, I want to say creepy, but it's not creepy. It's awesome because now I know more about how my body functions. I know how to coordinate my life to make sure I get certain sleep at certain times. And I also can go in really kind of eyes wide open on certain days that I know I'm not going to reach 100% recovery on a certain night because I had a really hard training day and I don't sleep as well in the night following a hard training day. I also, very unfortunately, although very expectedly, I do not sleep well after I have a beer or two in the evening. The science is very clear that sleep quality is compromised by alcohol. And for those of you that may have an occasional cocktail, you may already know this. You may already realize that you kind of maybe wake up a little bit off and on during the night. You don't sleep as deeply. So the same goes for me with caffeine after a certain time, with sugar or high carbohydrate meals later in the evening. And all of this may be obvious, extra credit if all that is like, yeah, I know all that stuff. But I think that tracking this, and again, it's done passively, right? I'm just wearing this device. It's not really any real data I have to do or numbers I have to punch in. It just does it. And it provides me automatically on my smartphone app. It says, hey, this is what happened last night. This is what happened. Or yesterday, hey, you went for a walk, you went for a run, you went for a ride, you stood this long, sat this long, you burned this many calories. And at the end of any week and month, I get an automatic email and it says, here's a snapshot of the past month. Do I think it's necessary to wear a smart device forever? No, definitely not. Don't have to. But I think that for those of us that are of middle age and our body is changing, and typically it's changing in ways, well, I guess nobody likes change at all, but it's changing in ways that may seem like something's wrong, perhaps, and my body isn't recovering like it used to, and I don't sleep as well, and I'm tired more often, and gaining a few pounds, and I feel weaker, and losing my balance, or all of these things that, if you don't pay attention to, will be sort of this cascade, this deterioration of our function. And that is in part because we do the same things and expect the same outcome while at the same time our body is changing. And by having a wearable, we can track over time how our body is changing And then we have the option with data, with information, to make decisions to match where as our body is changing, so we can change with it. We can change our habits, change our behaviors little by little. And really what ends up happening is, I mean, here's the punchline. Like, I don't have a way to like stop the aging process, but we can slow these changes that happen that none of us are stoked about. You know, these things happen. We tend not to sleep as well as we get older. We lose muscle mass, we lose bone density, and all sorts of other problems. And we know that this is the normal aging process, and we can either like kick back and say like, well, it is what it is, or if you're interested in your health span and extending that health span, then we say, well, I know this stuff is happening to me, but as much as possible, I want to control it. I want to like slow that down as much as I can. I want to make sure that I sleep as best I can to recover not only my physical capacity, but my cognitive capacity. I do not want to be fuzzy headed, and I definitely do want to have my short term memories be stored into long term memories. And I definitely do want to have cognitive health. And there's a direct relation to that to sleep and some of the sleep cycles, deep sleep specifically. Well, am I sleeping deep enough, long enough? I don't know. Well, I do know. And if you track this through a wearable, you'll know as well. My ask is that please, either if you don't already have a wearable, please consider getting one. Again, I've mentioned a couple at the beginning. And if you do have one, and I've had several of my coaching clients that I've talked to about this, that maybe there was a moment in time when a lot of people went out and, you know, it was a new thing, or certainly like the Apple Watch, for an example, that, you know, wow, cool. It's a cool watch. It's a little computer on my wrist. And oh, by the way, it tracks a whole bunch of stuff if you wanted to. And then it's technology and it's annoying and you got to charge it and all that stuff. So then it goes into a drawer and goes away. So there may be some of you that are listening to this that actually you probably maybe do have a device that you stashed away a long time ago. Well, consider firing it up, charging the battery, and just collecting some information for yourself. With data, with information, when you collect information about you, you have power. You have the opportunity to make decisions to change the data in your favor for your benefit. It's all for you, completely selfish, as it should be. And in upcoming podcasts, what I'll do is dissect out some of the data that we collect through these devices and tell you how to utilize it. So there are some people who have never used smart device for tracking their own metabolic conditions. That's one group. The other group are people that maybe have the device but don't really use it. And then there's another group that I would say have the device, track it, has all the data, and you don't know what to do with it. All of it is totally fine, completely normal. Let's work together, collect some data, check out another episodes I have coming up, and I'm going to break down different components of data and what they mean and how you can change the numbers for yourself for your own health span. That's the assignment. Give it a shot. 1 week minimum. Extra credit if you do it for a month, and gold star and confetti if you do it for months at a time. So with that, I am grateful that you stick around and listen to me talk about Healthspan. It is in our best interest to share and exchange information, share knowledge, and ultimately my goal is to simplify the massive amount of information out there about health and fitness and stamina, cardiovascular health, macronutrients, etc. Break that down into simple one-step actions. In addition to asking you to do this one assignment, I would also ask that you please subscribe to this podcast and share it with somebody else you may know and love who's also interested in their own health span. And if you're interested in a little bit more information on health span, you can check out the show notes and sign up for my monthly newsletter that I send out to my current coaching clients. And as always, I appreciate your time. And until next time, cheers.